Welcome to Buffalo Main Event. Bob Gaughan along with Brad Ryder. And coming up on today's show, Brad and I will discuss the Sabres resurgence, the BCS mess, and we'll bring in Rodney McKissick from the Buffalo News. But Brad, we start things off with the Buffalo Bills. The Bills defeated the Washington Redskins. They moved to 6-6 on the season. Your thoughts on the Bills' big win?
It's fun to see them get one of those back. We've seen them twice have a game just go away in the final seconds. And to see them actually take one, it sort of negates what happened against Dallas and what happened, well, I guess not both, but one or the other. Take out the Denver game. I don't have to think about this season right now as one that is lost because of a couple of last-second field goals. It's good to see something go the Bills' way for once, and it's good to see Dick Duran outcoach a Hall of Famer.
That is true. I always wondered, what do coaches do for 18 hours? Joe Gibbs was one of the original coaches, you remember?
Sure.
That would sleep in his office.
Yeah.
Dick Vermeil, Joe Gibbs. What is he doing in his office if he doesn't know that rule? I knew that rule.
Everyone,
think if I knew that rule.
Everyone knew that rule. Dick Duran is on the sideline seconds after it happened saying, that's 15 yards, that's 15 yards. Everyone I'm watching the game with saying, I know it's a penalty. I don't know if it's 15 yards. This is going to help the Bills, and ultimately it does. Joe Gibbs, after the game, was borderline hilarious in explaining the situation. I checked with the official. I thought he said I could do it. What ultimately happened was, yeah, you can call a timeout.
Right. You just get a penalty for it.
You're going to get punished, and I'm not going to tell you that. So good job by the official to handle it that way. But if I'm Canton, I'm trying to find a way to get Joe Gibbs out of there. This is why they make you wait 5 years after you retire to go into the Hall of Fame, because they don't want your legacy tarnished. They don't want you coming back and doing this sort of thing. And believe it or not, 3 Super Bowl wins are great, but 10 years from now, somebody brings up Joe Gibbs. I'm going to say, I remember when he came out of retirement and didn't know the rules of the league and cost his team a football game, potentially. Lindell looks good. Lindell hit from 51 the first time, but might have happened anyway. But that just doesn't look good for Joe Gibbs.
2 things I liked in the game. First of all, Trent Edwards, his poise and his presence. Something that I didn't even necessarily see from J.P. Lossman. When he scrambled a little bit, he kept the ball up, kept his eyes up looking downfield. I didn't see that from Lossman for 30 starts. I thought his presence in the pocket, which I don't think you can necessarily teach, of sensing that there is somebody coming from the backside, I got to get rid of the ball. So I liked that a lot from Trent Edwards, and obviously he made the one pass. He's been checking down all the time, and it came time, you got to make the pass downfield. And he did make the pass to Josh Reed, so I really was impressed with, in total, I was impressed with Trent Edwards' performance.
I'm watching it thinking, you've got 2 plays left. At some point, you're going to have to go down the field. You've got 2 plays left to do it. He picks that one, hits Josh Reed, and everything works out. Best thing about Trent Edwards yesterday, sure, he made some mistakes. He had some miscues, some bad throws, some inaccuracy. The best thing about what he did yesterday, no negative plays, no fumbles, no interceptions, no sacks, nothing that hurt the team. Worst case scenario, oops, we didn't complete a pass. Let's move on. And that worked out pretty well for Edwards in his return as the starter.
The other thing I liked, Fred Jackson. Why is Anthony Thomas even playing? Anthony Thomas, I don't want to see you on the field. I want to see Fred Jackson on the field. He impressed me, and it made me wonder why we haven't seen more of Fred Jackson this year.
It goes Marshawn Lynch, Fred Jackson, Dwayne Wright.
Yes.
Stop.
Exactly.
No more.
No, without a doubt. I mean, there were some negative things. I thought the play calling was a little conservative. 2nd and goal from the 24. Yeah, I think you...
Draw?
Yeah, draw. Yeah, no, that's not in the game plan. I think you open it up a little bit. Let's play the game the way the game is supposed to be played. Second subject is the Bills, now 6-6. They're in the playoff hunt. Do you see this as a playoff team, Brad?
Sure. It's 2007. It's the NFL. This is sort of the target I had. Be 500 in December and be the team that gets hot in December, and you're going to make it in. We can go through all the scenarios. They're 1 game behind 2 teams right now for a wild card spot.
And they play one of them. Cleveland.
Win your games. You're going to go to the playoffs. If you win your games and don't go to the playoffs, I don't fault you. You had a good year. Good job getting through all these injuries, the whole quarterback situation finally maybe resolving itself. They're in a spot right now where they can win winnable games, and they're all winnable games. Really, any game in the NFL is winnable if you're not playing New England. They don't have to play New England again.
Right.
I don't love the matchup with Philadelphia. I don't love the matchup with the Giants, but we're talking about 4 games where it's feasible. You could come out with a victory. It's in their own hands right now for the most part.
But there is a difference between being in the playoffs in the AFC and actually being a playoff contender. Let's make that distinction. Yes, you could make the playoffs.
I want 17 games this year.
Right.
Can I get 17 games?
You're in the playoffs.
That's all I'm looking for.
But you're really not a playoff contender when you're comparing yourselves to...
Right, but break out of that mold where you miss the playoffs every year so that next year you feel like, hey, we're a playoff team and you can push forward.
Let's move to the third topic, which is a real playoff contender. The last couple of years has been the Buffalo Sabres. The Sabres surging right now, the Senators falling back. Are the Senators in the Sabres' sights, Brad?
Yes, absolutely. It's a 9-point differential now between the top spot and the bottom spot, which the Sabres still hold in the division. But you look at the division right now, Ottawa's slumping. Montreal has been losing. Toronto's losing. The only other team that's really winning hockey games consistently over the last, say, 7 to 10 games is the Boston Bruins. But we're talking about a really tight, bunched up group of teams. It's a good division. It might be the best division in hockey. And you're, of course, a contender. It's funny how a couple weeks can change things. You win 2 games, somebody else loses 2 games, and suddenly those gaps just narrow. Ottawa Senators are definitely in the sights for the Buffalo Sabres.
The thing that worries me is this a 500 hockey team? Is this one that, like the Buffalo Bills, you might see 4-game winning streaks like you did right now, win 5 out of 6, win 6 out of 7, then fall back, and in the end of the day, you're just a 500 hockey team. That's what worries me. I really want to see this carry on for another week. This road trip coming up, winnable games against Anaheim, winnable games against Los Angeles. So I want to see an impressive West Coast trip before I say that they're really in Ottawa.
You avoid falling into that trap if you avoid prolonged losing streaks. You don't lose more than 2 games in a row, and you're going to be cruising. Because this is a team that's going to rip off 4 wins in 5 games, 5 wins in 7 games consistently. You lose 2 in a row, don't lose that 3rd one, and you can never really fall back. So just avoid disaster. Put Trent Edwards in. It's the basic concept here, and you'll be A-OK.
Coming up on Buffalo Main Event, we will answer your questions from the email segment brought to you by O Restaurant.